recorded live with little or no editing. It's Defense Up, Cosmic Crucible Edition. I'm Run 7. How you doing? We have a bunch of people helping us out in chat today, and if you want to be a part of that conversation, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think we're doing 10 to 1 Central Time these days. We're mixing things up, but we want you to be here in chat helping us out. We usually get people like today. We had Athame and Jgiusti and Pathfinder all in here on voice talking these teams over. So remember, if I make a mistake, be sure to blame them, not me. Also, I want you to note, we're trying to generate ideas for players at different levels here. Hopefully this gives you guys some idea of what you could use in place of these teams or how to better suit these teams if you want to use what's being shown here. They're just our ideas and they're all subject to change. I like to give these things a grade, but it's more an opinion of, you know, what you're seeing here compared to what you could be using. Anyways, let's get into it. Team number 1 is the Asgardian Heroes. The problems, we have lots of problems with this team. First off, we need ISO changes on almost everybody. We want Heimdall to be a raider. We want Mighty Thor to be a striker or raider. And we need a placement change, putting Sif to the outside. And then one of these three big people here need to be next to Heimdall instead of going Sif Heimdall. You want to break up that 3-piece because there's a case to be made that you could bring in like a big Black Order or something and get those 3 together and do some major damage, because those are the 3 hot targets on this team. Also, we were talking about maybe replacing Sif with Yo-Yo. Now, ComicSalvage has a very large Sif in this team, and he should not be replacing Sif with Yo-Yo. But if you have a very small Sif, you might want to replace them with Yo-Yo, because then there would be no protectors on the field, and Yo-Yo would help the incoming opening damage as this team takes a little bit to get wound up. So those are some ideas for that team. For me, this is kind of problematic. There's a lot of things going wrong with this. I'm going to give it a C+. It's a decent team for room 1. Room number 2, again, with the standard rules, we've got the Darkhold team in here. Bishop isn't doing much for this team anymore. A lot of the same counters that beat this team will still beat it with Bishop in here. Plus, we want to use Bishop someplace else. Also, we need a placement change. Let's put Agatha next to MLF. So we'd go Agatha on the outside, then MLF, then Doctor Strange. And then we're going to put Kingpin in here, and then Wong on the outside of Kingpin. Kingpin's going to spawn in, and on spawn, he's going to bring in a Merc who has taunt and 2 death proofs, forcing that opening attack to go into that Merc minion instead of something like MLF. That helps when you bring the unlimited team into Darkhold. Then Rogue can't just go right after MLF, and it causes some problems there. Also, Kingpin has some maneuvers that adds, offense up and such to this team. So Kingpin's a great choice for this. All in all, the other thing, we have a lot of ISO problems with this team. We want MLF as a striker at this point. She's got enough red stars. We can switch her over to a striker. We want to put Raider on Agatha at this point, putting lots of vulnerables on the field. She doesn't seem to have any focus problems, even in this new meta. We want Doctor Strange to be a raider, and we want Wong to be a striker. Wong is going to double tap into all those vulnerables that we're going to be putting on the field and removing negative effects from this team. So, somebody new, a placement change, lots of ISO changes. For me, this was a C-. I don't think this team was done very well. I think we can do a lot better. Moving on to Spidermania, we're getting rid of the Underworld team altogether. In fact, we're probably going to get rid of all of this. What we like is a Tangled Web with Eternals. Now, if you have all 3 Tangled Web, that's awesome. If you don't have Noir or don't want to build Noir, I understand that. Noir adds some 15% damage to Tangled Web allies, and if Spider Weaver is their non-Tangled Web Spider-Verse allies, took us a while to get that one right. But we like the Eternals in here. It's super fast. It basically requires you to mirror it with Cable to come in and beat that team. And that's what we want to see here in the Spidermania slot. If you don't have Noir, you could do something else, like maybe use a Yo-Yo in here, or, is it Yo-Yo we want? Or you could put Doom back in place. Doom is great with that Eternal combo, because if you try to come into it with Eternal, sometimes Doom gets knocked into that time platform and really screws up your opponent. So lots of stuff going on there. That's what we like. Just get rid of this whole team. The ISOs on this team don't matter, because they're all going to change when you go someplace else. Kingpin will remain a fortifier over on that Darkhold team. Surfer can be a striker on offense. We kind of like him as a raider on defense because of all the vulnerables he can put out, and he's not selecting targets on the AI does a terrible job selecting targets and stuff like that. But these ISOs don't really matter because we're going to break that team up. All right, moving on to team number 4 is the Dad Bros. We don't like Red Skull in here. X23 is great, but she's also kind of mad with this version. So what we're going to do is put in Polaris or Yo-Yo or anybody fast who's going to crit. Also, we want to change not Taskmaster, excuse me, Zemo to a Raider so you can get a crit off of his maneuver, helping to speed the Dad Bros up. Taskmaster is a great alternative to put in here instead of Red Skull. Red Skull's just a little bit slow and doesn't have a lot of great synergy with this team, but we do like the Dad Bros. You could put Polaris in here to go with them as well. For me, this team was... It's trying, but like, you know, with the skirmisher on Zemo, that kind of ruins what you're trying to do with that early opener here. So for me, this is a C+. Moving on to team number 5, get the YA out of here. YA is a super powerful team everywhere in the game. They're great to build. Highly recommend you take this team through the roof, or at least to 15? Yeah. However, let's change Kate Bishop's ISO to a skirmisher, and then we're going to use this team on offense. They do absolute wonders with the Axemen. It's a great team to be using on offense for a lot of things, actually. The placement is pretty good. Yeah, I like the placement on this. It's fine. It works well enough, but let's use them for offense. I think we came up with some different ideas, like using an SA Kestrel Killmonger hybrid in here, like with Shang-Chi or something. There's also the straight Wakanda would work well in 5. Kind of getting into like filler territory here of what do you want to sacrifice from offense to go in on defense. But this team is just too valuable to be used on defense. Plus, there's actually a few things that kind of beat it pretty easy these days. Also, Dark Hunters is another team you could throw in here if you want to. They're not really used for a lot of offensive attacks, so if you have a Dark Hunters, you throw them in here. I like this team, and I like the way it's built. It works fine just this way. I do think Kate Bishop as a skirmisher is a little bit better for the blinds, but let's move them to offense. And moving on to your last team, this is the Axemen with Spider-Weaver. We're moving Spider-Weaver back to that other room, and we're going to put Bishop in her place, taking this whole team off of defense and using them on offense. Now, something you should note, there is a change to the Tales of Legends. It's now giving legendary characters a 50% damage boost, which is absolutely bonkers on top of Age of X. So what we recommend everybody do in here is either make a Horseman hybrid team or just throw in straight Gamma. Straight Gamma in here is working really well, giving that Red Hulk the speed, so it's hard to get in front of him. He ends up getting to his big ult really fast and destroying people, but putting in a bunch of hero legendaries, especially horseman legendaries, makes this a crazy room for people to try and get through. Excuse me. The Axemen, however, especially Axemen with Phoenix, is an incredible tool to have in your offensive lineup, so I think we should take them off of there. This isn't a terrible setup here. We just feel that there's a lot better uses for Spider-Weaver and this team in general. So... also, yeah, I like these ISOs. These ISOs are fine, especially with Bishop coming in here as a striker. That would work great. So this isn't too bad. Again, since we're breaking this team up, I don't even know how to grade it. I guess take this off, put Bishop in, and I can give you an A for an offensive team. Anyway, this has been ComicSalvage's defense for Crucible. That was a mouthful. If you'd like to have your Crucible defense wrought over by some really smart people and myself, then send them into my Discord. Links are down in the description. Remember, guys, don't just have a good game, be good to yourselves and others too, and I will see you next time. Bye.